pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. Thank you very much, Mr. Sergeant at Arms. Hurry up. God, I do.
Welcome, everybody. Like we've now talked, we've got a cast this morning, Man in Black.
Friday at my office, so I enjoy it.
Very good.
Yeah.
Glad to see Chuck back with us, he's over there. And, where's Brian? Brian was right on time for Brian. He's not late. That's true. Yeah, and funny, isn't it?
I'll still pay my dollar.
That's good. In the funeral business, being late is good.
You're done now, sorry.
Good night, everybody. Tip your weight. Mr. President, I have $2. One is, hopefully we'll be out of here before the weather hits. Okay, good night. Two, I'm now with Bill Beast from the Hannibal Club to New Madrid. My paternal family stomping grounds, and we're at about 20 community members interested in starting a Rotary Club now. Well, that's awesome. You know, we can't fault you for that. No, absolutely. That is right. Thank you. So that's there you go. You know, that's probably the most important thing that you've done, you know, for the good of Rotary in a long time. So hopefully that'll pay off. Well,
The most powerful thing you can do in life is
I was talking to a couple of people and they said, yeah, I've got relatives down here. They're a true boy. Oh, you guys know where Miss Sturdy. Oh, Miss Sturdy, yeah, absolutely.
You keep saying down there, where is New Madrid?
New Madrid is
Close to Arkansas.
close to, well, no, it's closer. It's about an hour south of Sykes, maybe 40.
Okay.
Where the town slogan is, it's
So
not
back
our fault.
to our,
That's exactly, the town slogan is, it's our fault.
What's the mile marker roughly?
I do not have a
Steel
clue.
is 8, isn't it?
Yes, well, it's further north.
Further north. Between Haykai and Steel.
And you gotta realize, when men talk, we all talk, how did you get there, what?
Yeah.
405 and
Yeah, right.
10.
No, when we're doing it, we won't ask for directions.
I know,
Yeah.
trust me,
Yeah.
I know that.
Don't believe me.
Turn next to the grain elevator, the double grain elevator, and
That's not there. No, just past the cotton gin, but everybody knows that. Yeah, we're. Yeah, I'm getting to the point in my life where it goes well. My house, that empty house, I used to live in the house.
Store the airport. And
Mr. Robinette.
Since I got dinged last week for giving way too much information on whatever it was that took more than an hour, on the comment of directions, this is the honest truth. Quite a few years ago, one of Mary's relatives, they were in Mexico, Martinsburg and so on, and the funeral was in Mexico, Missouri, the Arnold Funeral Home. I had no idea how to get there, but I figured it's a small town. How to find it? And this was long before GPS, and it was a Sunday morning. Well, there ain't a lot of stuff open Sunday morning to ask directions on. So we pulled into Burger King or whatever it was. And the young lady behind the counter was great. You go out of our driveway and you make a right. Good. You go down to the first stoplight, you make a left. Great. You drive past where the old theater used to be and turn right.
there you go.
Manager heard it, he said, honey, if you knew where the old theater used to be, he'd know where the funeral home is, and gave me slightly better directions. So yes, I get those.
Was that Burger King?
It might have been.
Do you know where we are?
Yeah. Can you say it's stronger? I think they were chopping tulips.
That's great.
It is. We should call it joke number 4.
Oh, I got a whole bunch of good jokes in the next newsletter. Y'all won't like them, but I got them.
Yeah, it's $1 in morning for. I grew up over in Oblong, Illinois, and then my dental practice was in Robinson, Illinois, all of it in Crawford County, a county of about 21,000, right up against the Wabash River in Indiana. And they were hit hard by the tornado last Friday night. We have 3 dead in Crawford County. It went 37 miles from southwest of Robinson up through the country, just hit a lot of farmhouses, barns, silos. We have a lot of oil over there, so a lot of the oil tank farms and things were knocked straight. Destroyed the airport, destroyed one of the colleges, one of the junior college buildings, went across the river into Indiana, hit Miram, and then destroyed about 200 homes in southern Sullivan, Indiana. 3 dead in Sullivan, as well as 3 dead in Crawford County. So hopefully today won't be like that.
All right. Okay, Mr. President. All right, very good. Leo. Well, Josh was responsible for the program today. And, Josh's father had a small heart attack a couple of weeks ago, and his wife is very ill today. She was Monday. So he sends his regrets and hellos to everyone. Wishes he could be with us rather than at home nursing people. We do have an alternate program today. And for those of you that were at the board meeting yesterday, particularly the speakers, let's see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people that weren't at the board meeting yesterday. So basically, we've got Dave Mohler and Dan Flynn are going to talk to us about their vision for the Spirit of St. Louis County Rotary Club and things. So board heard about it yesterday, and now it's for you all.
Well, good morning, everybody. I attended 2 weeks ago, or almost 2 weeks ago, along with Gary and Dan, attended the Show Me Rotary for president-elect training. Dan was there for president nominee training, and Jerry, district governor, just running around doing good. It was a good event, and a lot came out of it. And the 3 of us, met a couple of days after that, just to kind of parse together what we gotten from it and how we maybe could move forward and be congruent with following up Gary's reign and mine coming in and Dan's following and try to build on that. So I'd like to put together what I'm calling the vision to do good for others for this next year. I used some of the tools they gave us at that event. I used some of the language they used because I think it's important that we follow along with what obviously RI and district are doing to to not invent everything from scratch all the time. So anyway, pardon me for reading this, but then I'll keep on track. We need to broaden our vision and seek new opportunities to serve within the 7 municipalities and 3 school districts that comprise our chosen area of influence. Just to remind everybody, these 10 service areas comprise Maryland Heights, Overland, Westport, St. John, St. Anne, Bridgeton, Creve Coeur, Brittner, Pattonville, and Parkway North. Now, if you saw, there was a map on the table. Dan was kind enough to put this together. If you look at that, this little square with the dotted lines around it, it has 60 in the middle of it. That's Overland. And then the black line around it is our new service area. So we bit off 20. And then Dan had a second map that showed even more, but we're not going to talk about that yet because we don't want to scare everybody. But I mean, there's a lot of ground that we have the potential to serve. We need to update and adapt our local service work based on this increased footprint that we elected to represent. Our larger area of influence requires that we develop new projects that include new ideas and new beneficiaries. Develop flood projects that synergistically work within Rotary International and district programs that will allow us to move further and faster than developing every service project from scratch. Our participation will foster progress toward shared goals within the RI family. Increased club membership of our entire service area, while also working to create partnerships both within and outside of Rotary to extend our reach and allow us to serve even more people by incorporating the 7 areas of focus as our guide. These areas are basic educational literacy, community economic development, disease prevention and treatment, maternal and child health, peace building and conflict prevention, water, sanitation and hygiene, and environmental issues. That was all taken. We're going to get some copies of this. They handed this out. It's a nice little book for Rotary members in general, but also for anybody new we bring in. It gives a great synopsis of what Rotary is about in different areas. And a nice little handbook. So I pulled from here. I also pulled some of my information from the goals that are on the RI website that I have to fill out for the next year. And so that's where some of my terminology comes from on all this. In terms of service projects for the next season, we're of course going to continue our work with the Rittner Co-Care Pantry once a month, the last Wednesday of every month. And then we've just got everything finalized and actually the signs up and everything about us doing the adoptive road with MoDOT, which we are contractually obligated to do a minimum of 4 times a year. And then Dave Robinette has graciously offered to patrol it every day on if there's any extra trash or this in between.
There was a refrigerator out last
Oh,
night.
okay.
First time, yes, got out.
Remember to take the door off.
You split it off just in time.
Yeah.
Didn't scratch my car.
We'll do our local cap grant, which I did go through the training for that last month, so we're eligible to participate in that again. We need to determine what we're going to do for that. At the board meeting, we discussed doing the books again, like we did last year. There's a district grant available. They just entitled it Empower Girls. It's kind of open-ended. We need to discuss that. It's a $500 grant. It's not a matching grant. It's just $500 if we come up with a project. In talking to some people, a lot of needs within some of the schools, things like feminine hygiene products, that kind of thing, that the schools have cut that kind of stuff out of their budget, that maybe we can do something with that. Along with the books, continuing our work with literacy in that respect of just the books. But something that at the show me that really kind of hit me was adult literacy. One of the groups is working really heavily with that. And the statistic they gave, I thought rather shocking. 21% of U.S. adults in 2023 are illiterate. And 54% of the U.S. population reads at less than a 6th grade level, which
Those are mostly Kiwanians.
probably or likely. But they're showing that the cost of the United States economy is $2.2 trillion a year. So, the thing that hit me on that was that we are a club that's comprised of many former educators, and that maybe we could find a way to partner with another organization. There's ideas, and then there's meat on the bone. I don't have any meat on this bone yet, but the idea that maybe we could work with somebody and give some assistance in that area, and maybe help some people be better citizens in our community. In terms of some of the programs that the district is doing, and I'll let Dan do more on this, but there's one called Shoes for Orphans, which is collecting new shoes to be distributed in primarily Latin American countries, but can be places like Africa. I'll let him talk on that one. And then another one that's rather interesting is a district program called the Navajo Water Project. The Navajo Nation is effectively the 4 corners in the United States area: Utah, Colorado, New Mexico, Arizona, and a huge percentage of their population has no running water in their houses, because, like all times, we managed to create a area that they ended up in with good kind of water. The average Navajo uses, 7 gallons of water per day. You and I use an average of 80 to 100. I mean, they're literally carrying in water in 5-gallon buckets like you see commercials in Africa, you know. The Rotary's got a project going that for $4,500, you can install a complete water system. This doesn't mean they're piping in running water from somewhere. It's basically a cistern-based, you know, holding tank system that they put in the ground. They literally will still have to come around and fill it with some regularity. But it puts plumbing inside the house, including a sink and a water tank, water heater, and it's powered by solar power. So there's ways to partner with that project. As Dan mentioned, it's something in our own country that, you know, if there's a group of people in this organization that would actually want to go out there and help there, if there's some way to do that, maybe that's something we could do. But it's a pretty interesting project. And we'd like to pursue that. Another one that would be kind of fun, that with combined fundraising with our social possibly. We do our 5th Wednesdays, which is, you know, just a social thing for all of us and our spouses. There's something called Pints for Polio. Basically, you partner with a local bar, restaurant, and go in and sell a glass for like $25. You work it out with the bar that they give the first pour for free, and then people stay and continue to fill that glass all night. So the bar makes money. We might make $25 on, you know, selling that glass to go towards polio. My thought was if we incorporated that with our 5th Wednesday social, killing 2 birds with 1 stone, and it combined my 2 favorite things, which is taking money from other people and drinking beer. So, and then we would still have our projects like Old Newport Days, Scouting for Food, that kind of thing. And this is not a complete list or a final list or anything like that. It's just some idea. Going on with that and being able to implement that, I feel pretty strongly that we need to design and implement a committee-based structure that focuses on project development and successful execution in the following key areas. Again, this is the same areas they list in the goal setting for Rotary, so I just used the same language. Membership, members and engagement, foundation and giving, service, young leaders, and public image. And then we would still need probably another committee or 2, one specifically being fundraising, but trying to figure out how we can get some things going. It's too much to ask any one person to put any of these things together by themselves. We need to pool our talents and our interests and get together to smaller groups and figure this out. We can't solve all this in a 1-hour board meeting every month. It just doesn't work. There's too many details to be worked out. You know, I hope that we question ourselves. Are we making a difference as an organization to the most people possible? Given our new service area, does our community know that we even exist? And if not, how do we change that? And are we doing more boots on the ground work? We're a very generous group in terms of giving, but, you know, are we giving to the actual community? The other thing with the increased service area, it gives us opportunities for hopefully some built-in programs of things like meet the mayor, the police chief, the superintendent of the school districts, that kind of thing. And if they do come and talk to us, you know, we need to ask the question, what can we do for you? It's one thing to just hear about what's going on in the area, but how can we be of assistance? So at this point, that's about what I got. If anybody has questions, anything, I'll let Dan come up and speak to his project, which he's been brought into through the district. So.
Ladies and gentlemen. Dave Mohler.
Got me there. Water that I'm telling you.
Thank you.
So I need to put a little note here as we take the notes. BS starts at this point. Just check.
I'm just trying to overcome the product shites. Not sure where to go because Dave gave my entire talk and did a darn fine job. Thank you, Dave.
Ring the bell, get some practice.
Be three.
So, this map that Dave pointed out, I got that bored at work one day and, made this little map of where we were and where we are now. And, a couple of things came to mind. I don't know why you all stopped there. Why not take over Olivet, Town and Country, places like that? I think if we go in at night, we can take them by surprise. I don't know how you all did this, whether this was by annexation or you just decided these are gonna be our boundaries now. Or if there's
Not
a,
boundaries,
huh?
not
Not
boundaries.
boundaries. I like that.
Did away with boundaries,
Not boundaries.
areas of influence.
Areas of influence. There you go. So as you can see, we went from this little tiny box to this great big area. But to my mind, we're still thinking like we're Overland Rotary. We're only paying attention to the Rittner School District. We're only paying attention to that one pantry. You know, we're thinking in that little yellow box. When I look at this map, I look at, first of all, the municipalities. Every one of those municipalities has a mayor. Everyone has a police chief. Everyone has a fire chief. And back in the day, Rotary clubs included the mayor and the police chief and the fire chief. And if the chief couldn't make it, he sent one of his deputies or sent a lieutenant, somebody to represent that organization and represent the city to the Rotary club. So I'm going to make an effort to go out and get some of those people. And I think the best way to hit some of those people is to start off by inviting them to come here and speak. So it's going to take a little coordination because the way we have this set up, we don't have a program chair that's in charge of getting a speaker every week. Everybody takes a turn. So if I can line up somebody for a week that you're assigned to, I will reach out to you and say, hey, have you got somebody yet? If not, you want the mayor of Bridgeton? You know, he's available that day, or she is available that day. So that way we're reaching out more to the communities. And if you notice on this map, I look at this and I look at all the stuff that's in this map. There's not only Westport, there's Earth City. There's all these, you know, this is like pretty much the most corporate area of what the county that there is. So there's a lot of opportunity for us. As to the Pints for Polio, same kind of thing. It's not only about us going out for a drink every fifth Wednesday, and it's not just about raising money for polio. It's about letting people know that we're here. So imagine we go to Cybergs, whatever direction that is. And there's a big sign outside the front door that says Pints for Polio, you know, Spirit of St. Louis Rotary Club. And it says a couple of things. Oh, I can do something charitable while I drink beer. And it raises questions about who's St. Louis County Rotary. And that's what you really want, is just something that will get somebody to ask the question. They've now invited you to tell them about this wonderful organization and all the things that it does. So when we look at this map, start to think about all the bars that you know of, and I know some of you know a lot of them, in this area. And it wouldn't be great if we just, you know, kind of bounced around between 5 or 6 of them. One of the things we'll be looking for, Dave alluded to, kind of committees. This is more of a one-person job, but I'd love to see somebody become the Pints for Polio kind of coordinator who decides which pub are we going to be at next time. It's only 4 Wednesdays a year that we're looking for. And the whole idea is, we used to do this in California, and feel free to Google it because a lot of clubs around the country do this. Just Google Pints for Polio and all kinds of clubs will come up, and they buy these pint glasses. And it has the Pints for Polio logo on one side, and some of the clubs go so far as to have their club logo put on the other side. And I sit there by the door at Cybergs at happy hour, and I've got this case of these glasses, and I offer to sell one to people as they come in for $25. The bar has agreed to fill it that first time for free, and they get to keep the glass. And they know that they're giving $25 to help towards polio. Again, for this mystery organization called Rotary, that they're gonna ask somebody about, because there's a bunch of people at the bar all wearing Rotary logos. And so there's plenty of people to ask about it. It's a very successful program. It raises a lot of money for polio, and it's very low maintenance. It's very easy to do. It just, like I said, if we could find 5 bars, maybe, train wreck in Westport and Cybergs or whatever, but using this map, let's see if we can find 5 bars that are not in that little yellow box. Spread them out over this area of responsibility, Creve-Coeur, all that kind of fun stuff. That's Pints for Polio. I'm going through my list of stuff and trying to find the things that Dave didn't talk about. So I'm going to be bringing this up for the rest of his natural life, but I said to Dave Nolan, if there's any way that I can be of help to the district, let me know. And so I went to Show Me Rotary. And somebody walked up to me and said, "Congratulations." And I said, "On what?" And they said, "Well, you're an assistant governor." And they showed me on a list that I was listed as amongst the assistant governors of the district. And then they showed me all the other things I was on the list for. One of them being the district service chair. So I'm in charge of the district's service project this year coming up. Though, because it's a service project, because it's very ambitious, they've asked me to start now rather than waiting until July to get started. And again, going back to the old days of Rotary, for those of you who weren't around in the old days of Rotary, every year the district governor's spouse kind of had a pet project. I remember being on Tom Gooch's staff, and his wife's project was reading for children. So she went out and got children's books, just thousands and thousands of them donated and distributed. So their house was full of books. It looked like a book depository by the time his year was up. So we had a presentation at Show Me Rotary about this project called Buckner's Shoes for Orphan Souls. Not shoes for orphans, orphan souls, as in their souls don't have any shoes. So, but it is for children. It is new shoes only, and it is for children. But as somebody pointed out, the program goes all the way up to size 18, and that could be size 18 shoes. So, but keeping in mind that they are primarily for the purposes of children. And we have some of these flyers here that talk about why this is important. And there's several reasons. Health, running around with no shoes on, you get your foot cut open in a jungle or something like that, not really good for you. A lot of kids aren't allowed to attend school if they don't have shoes. So it becomes a matter of whether that child is getting an education or not. And just more opportunity, obviously, get a job, things like that, because you have shoes. So after we heard this wonderful presentation by a gentleman by the name of Larry Lunsford, who's very enthusiastic about this project. Yeah, he founded it like 22 years ago. As I'm leaving the room, they just announced me as the chair, and this man approaches me with this like wild look in his eyes and just like stops my path, and he goes, "Dan, I think we can do 20,000 pairs of shoes this year." And I'm sitting there going, somebody call 911. The guy's a loon. And I expressed that opinion to somebody in the next meeting. They said, "Did he have a long white goatee?" And I said, "Yeah." And crazy look in his eyes. "Yeah, that's the incoming governor's husband." And I went, "Oh, well, I guess it's 20,000 pairs of shoes, because that's his project." And I did find out what they're trying to do is they're trying to compete with the next district over. District 6040 has been doing this for years. And I had lunch with one of their former district governors. And without telling her who I was or why I was asking, I said, what was the best year you guys ever had when we did this?" And she said, our best year was 20,000 shoes. And I said, "Okay, well, that's a real number. It's doable. Somebody's done it." So that's our goal here in 6060. is 20,000 pairs of shoes. And the wild man said, I've got all the math worked out. It sounds like a big number, but if every Rotarian in District 6060 just brought in one pair of shoes a month between now and next July, that's 20,000. And keep in mind, we're not talking about Louis Vuitton. We're talking about going to Shoe Carnival or Walmart and buying, not flip-flops, no flip-flops, but buying a $15 pair of shoes and adding them to the pile. Now, a little side note, we undoubtedly, no matter how many times we say new pair of shoes, we will get used shoes. We're not going to turn those away because we can then in turn donate those to somebody who does take used shoes. The reason for no used shoes, interestingly enough, is you are not allowed to export used shoes out of the country because they're afraid of spreading like athlete's foot or something like that. And that's all we need is that is a pandemic. So you can only export, so we're sending these things to Central America and Africa and places like that. So they have to be new in order to ship them out of the country. So two things about this. You can either donate a new pair of shoes, or you can donate the money towards them. And then what we're going to do with the money is we can then go to a Shoe Carnival or a Walmart or somebody like that and say, hey, I'm about to buy 5,000 pairs of shoes from you. What can you do for me on price? What shoes do you have that are going out of, that are rotating out of the normal, I guess shoes are like cars. There's a model a year. And then somebody brought up yesterday, what are the big shoe company? Famous Brands, approaching them as well. So
Actually, didn't you say
My son plays golf with the guy that runs Famous Brands.
Famous
So
Brands?
that's right.
So we have opportunities like that, and see, that's exactly what Rotary is about. I know a guy who plays golf with a guy who knows a guy. Yes, sir.
Once upon a time, it used to be Brown Shoe,
Mhm.
but I believe, whatever name it, I can't think of the names.
Solaris.
Solaris.
They own Famous Brands.
Yeah,
So maybe, maybe
Yeah.
we want to consider going up a notch to see if the actual manufacturer.
Yeah, well, that would be great. I was thinking that thought myself, is like, would it be great if we could cut out the middleman and go right to the manufacturer? But just know that there are people working on those sorts of things to maximize
Okay.
our effect.
So send me to the Philippines, they may make a lot of them there, and
Sure.
I'll do a trip and.
Okay,
see
you
if I
go to the
can-
Philippines, I'll go to Sri Lanka, we'll meet
Yeah.
in the middle in Australia.
The actual
Yeah.
manufacturer.
Yeah, or just go straight to Martha Stewart's house, she's got all those kids chained in the basement. I'm sorry, Tom?
We did this about 15 years ago.
Yeah.
I remember driving a car full of shoes to
it was
Columbia.
Columbia for a joint conference, yeah.
I ended up buying some on eBay in bulk.
Yeah.
And another comment was, now that we have Costco in our backyard, if I go in for local bread, I spend $62. That's how it works at Costco. And just, go down the shoe aisle, you take them and you just take them and you throw them in your cart.
Yeah.
Yeah, done.
Yeah, I would hope you would.
So now, and keep in mind that we're not having to reinvent the wheel on this, because you've got people like Larry Lunsford who have been doing this for 22 years, and they've got those kind of connections. So we can go to him and say, hey, Larry, we've got this pot of money rather than shoes. Where can we get the biggest bang for our buck with the shoes? So all great ideas, and just know that it's a committee at the district level that is working on those kind of relationships, along with people like Larry.
We have a tax-free number in the state. I think you have to actually pay with a club check or something.
Yeah, we do. No, I've done it, paid on my, like Staples and such.
So-
But the other thing is to try to, in the interest of expanding our footprint, is maybe finding a way to, maybe we come up with some barrels or boxes that we can label, that we can get into churches or area businesses that people could drop off, because in fact, people aren't walking around with a new pair of shoes.
Right.
It's like, we gotta give somebody a way to drop them off later. That could be a good selling point, and outside of just us.
Well, and so Dave brought up my next point, as he so often does. Thank you, Dave. This is one of those opportunities where it's not just about asking our own club members for money. This is an opportunity to reach out to our community, this map, and say, hey, community, we need your help. We're looking to raise 20,000 pairs of shoes. We have not only these flyers, but we have these posters that can be used for an event like, hey, at I don't know, pick an event at the annual Maryland Heights Maypole Dance. We're going to have a booth for this. Bring your new shoes and things like that. So we have this material available that we can put out in this, what do we call it, Todd? An area of influence. And let's, I don't know, influence. This is one of those things we can influence and let the community know that we're out there. And we can put, where it says Rotary, we can put Spirit of St. Louis County Rotary on this thing. So we have these available for any businesses, I don't know, pharmacies, whatever might be in your dental practice areas, where you can have these things out. So, I'm sorry, Tom, you were gonna bring up one.
When we're trying to increase our membership, have a new pair of shoes with you. I mean, this sounds crazy. 2 small sneakers around your neck with the shoelaces. That's a conversation. What's with the shoes? Glad you asked.
You know, and that's just crazy enough, it might work. So I'm sitting here, the minute you said that, I thought pints for polio. So not only is there a bunch of people at the bar with a Rotary shirt on, and somebody just walked up with a pints for polio glass wondering why he bought it, who this organization is, but there's a bunch of people at the bar with baby shoes around their neck. Somebody's gonna ask why you have those around your neck. It is a conversation starter.
Size 18 sneakers.
Well, yes, it shows your rank in the organization, size 18 versus baby. So.
I want to see that one of these.
So let's see. I think that's all I have to talk about because Dave covered a lot of it. You touched on this just briefly, the Navajo thing. This is something I've known about for years. I think it's actually just abhorrent that our own people in this country don't have running water. And many of us, well, no, I shouldn't say that. A few of us in this room have had the privilege of going to other countries and actually being boots on the ground, as it's called, actually hands-on helping people who really need help. One of the things about this project, and for those of you who aren't familiar with the situation, the Navajo Nation is basically suing like the federal government and the people with the water thing by the Treaty of 18, God knows what. You guys have to give us water. And so they went back and researched the treaty, and the lawyers for the other side said, well, the treaty says we have to make water available for you. Doesn't mean we have to get it to you. You're responsible for getting your own water to you. Come and get it if you want, and it's a state away. So you're asking people who can't afford water to go a state away to go get that water. So the concept here is to build these cisterns where people can have their own water storage tanks at their homes. So
Is it one cistern per house?
I think so.
I think it looks like 2, maybe. They're 2 fairly decent.
And then, as Dave pointed out, they still have to have the delivery trucks come deliver the water, but they now have a cistern to put it in.
Does it ever rain out there?
It never rains in Southern California. No, that's well, rarely, but I mean, it's the desert for the most part. If you've ever driven out there, it's like the surface of the moon.
I'm sure they figured out how to collect any water they can, but
Yeah.
I think 60 Minutes did something on.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I don't know about 60 Minutes, but I know CBS Sunday Morning. did a thing on it.
Actually, the July 22 Rotary magazine had an article on it, which I put on if anybody still has that, I'd like to get that to copy.
So my thought was when we were talking about all this was that while Rotarians may not go to India anymore to give polio vaccines, this is in our own country, and maybe there's a possibility. Now, when we were in Southern California, we would regularly go down to Mexico and build wells. Our district governor was a retired, he had his own landscaping company, large scale landscaping company. So he had all the pipes and the fittings and all that. And we would go down there and actually spend a week building wells in towns that didn't have wells. This is something that we could do. We could jump in a van and go help, install these cisterns or whatever for anybody who wanted to do that hands-on thing. And finally, you all might already do this, but I want to think about these projects in sizes of scale. What do we do locally with our hands? Well, 1 week a month, we go to the food pantry. Great, that's something that we do. What do we do on a district scale? Well, we've got the shoe project. What do we do on a national or international scale? We have the Navajo Water Project, and we have the polio. Obviously, we're still involved with that, with Pines for Polio. So how can we be helping at all those different scales? So anyway, Mr. President, that's all I had to say. Oh, no, I take that back. All right, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
All right, there's one other thing, for those of you who aren't familiar with, he's not here today, but Jim Cox. Wow, I knew it was 3 letters. I had. I didn't realize this, but he owns Peace Poles. He bought the company, and they had a booth at Show Me Rotary. And one of the things that I want to do as a way of introducing this Rotary Club to all these municipalities is not only invite the mayor to speak, the police chief, the fire chief, and all that, but try and get each one of these municipalities to have a peace pole put up in one of their city parks, and then have the dedication ceremony and all that kind of stuff. And for those of you not familiar with the peace poles, there are these, basically a pole, and it has anywhere from 4 to 32 different languages that says something like peace on earth. And it says it in all these different languages. And I think it would be great if every municipality made it a big deal out of putting one of these in one of their parks, and with us kind of pushing that along. So that would help us get that word out about our club as well. So it's all about the membership. We're also, Tom and I are working on the postcards that would be available to actually just hand out to business owners. Just walk up and down Dorset here, going into every business, saying, hey, did you know that the Rotary Club meets right up the street from me? Come on up, join us for coffee. So there you go. Thank you.
One pair of shoes around your neck. One pair of shoes around your neck. And a pot of beer in your neck.
I think you. Yeah, I'm gonna. Gary, can I do tough?
Absolutely, absolutely.
I just realized the new shoe thing, why this, I forgot about that. It's most likely that you don't introduce invasive, non-native plant species to people's country and screw up their agriculture.
Like fungus?
Because like I visited a farm in Ireland, I was there one time ago, and when I left the country, they asked if you've been to a farm, because you walk around and you had stuff on your shoes, you take it back. It's kind of like California saying you can't bring your fruit in.
I've been scuba diving at aquariums where you can't use your own fins because you may have used those fins in a different ocean somewhere.
Right.
And may have critters on it that you didn't know were on it.
Yeah. Just a couple housekeeping things. We're gonna move the board meeting starting next month to my store and try to do it from there. One thing about me coming in as president is with working by myself, for myself, I can't leave during the day. Board meetings that start at 7 o'clock. The only thing I can promise is that we'll start at 7, but if we stay like someplace like here, I gotta walk out the door at 8 because I gotta be able to travel and get to my shop and be open by 8:30. So the idea was to move it there, that if the meeting runs a little long, great, I'm already at work, fine, they can sit there all morning, I don't care. And the other thing is also in the interest of trying to foster more committees and committee work, I'll offer my store at any time to be used as a clubhouse to meet for that kind of thing. It could be a committee that I'm not even involved with. More people want to come in and sit down around my table and work it out. You're welcome to do it during work hours, after hours. I don't care. I'll stay and, make that available.
That's starting next month.
We're gonna start that next month, but that's, still good with everything. So, that's kind of where that's at. Thank you, yes.
What about, we talked, I think you brought up the meeting location. Did you?
I didn't want to bring that up.
Okay.
I had something to say.
Just as a show of hands, if we found a place that we could meet, not that we love this place, but if there was a place that offered breakfast, would people be interested in starting that again? Show of hands and.
I love breakfast. I eat breakfast every day of my life.
Well, so I wasn't gonna bring this up until I had more information, but we talked about this at the board meeting where, again, looking at that map. We should be someplace a little more centrally located. We should be having breakfast because it's a breakfast club. So I'm gonna be looking at, I got together with the Creve Coeur Olivet Chamber of Commerce. And they suggested, for instance, the Holiday Inn there at Olivet 270. Which does breakfast for different organizations and things like that, similar to this. But other places, something more centrally located to this new area of influence that we're in. But I was gonna just start looking at places and then bringing it to the body.
Very good. All right. Yes, ma'am.
When, one other thing about our reach, you know, with our scholarships this year, we decided to branch out and have a couple of scholarships available for non-Richter students. And I've gotten the applications and we've got 5 applications from Richter students and 15 from non-Richter students. So,
Now, remember our area covers Parkway.
yeah.
And we do, last year, the club voted to send a Parkway North student to Riley. So.
I also want to look into what chambers of commerce we cover now.
Got some excellent plans, excellent. Plans. This is, some announcements, birthdays. First Green's birthday was April 2nd. So Ann's wonderful husband, Bob, his birthday was yesterday. I believe.
It's a biggie too.
It was a biggie. Oh, okay, I want to ask how big a biggie. Dave Mohler, do you realize that you've been in Rotary, a Rotarian for 5 years today?
No, but I knew I was close.
Yeah. That's wonderful. Food, the next food pantry, April 26th. District conference brochure there, the registration has been extended through to the 10th of April.
How many people are planning on going to the conference?
Yeah, I know I am.
Sound of crickets chirping.
Anybody else want to the conference? I know it's a little tough with a Friday, Saturday, but okay. The Rotary quiz this week. It's about the Rotary magazine. There's no jokes this week, but what was the headline story highlighted on the cover of this month's Rotary magazine? It was a big headline down in the bottom left-hand corner and had to deal with the picture of the 2 ladies. Yes, sir.
Polio's front line.
Polio's front line. Very good, sir. Excellent. And you.
Wait a minute, let me just make sure I got that right. Yeah, polio's front line.
Here, and you win. Wait a minute, that's my wood glue. Well,
I actually brought that magazine to charge Tom $1 for the shameless cycling promotion that they put in there.
yeah.
Or what? Yeah,
So,
John Hugo.
yeah.
Rotary, today's article.
Wonderful Rotary pen for you. So, 50-50 drawing
What's the program next week?
program next week.
Don't know.
Don't know. Who has the program? No, wait a minute, I have it right here. April 12th, quarterly assembly. Must be. April 19th.
Can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
I have ruined May. I'm really thinking about the
Gentlemen, hang on a second. Go ahead, Steve.
The bid day. Wait, hold on, it's on the record. Are you there? I have early May, I'm thinking about trying to set up a Windsor full visit. But now it's about 20 minutes from here out to Chesterfield Valley. Is that something you all would participate in?
Yeah.
And, pursue?
Yeah.
If we get out by 8.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we did there at 7. And, you know, maybe to 8, but it's about 20 minutes further west of here. So it's
Your swims. Coincidence, or St. Louis County Brewer, the Spirit Airport.
Uh, 355.
Oh, got it. All right. All right. Yeah. Next thing's got play. Thank you all. Oh, wait, you're right. I was gonna see if you won, but I will ring the bell and you need to go. Let's see.
Joker.
The Joker, he's. One of the windows.